The most profound tragedy of the human condition is not that our lives are short, but that we spend so much of that limited time being absent from the only reality we will ever truly possess. We are a species of travelers, not through space, but through the corridors of our own minds. We wake up in the morning, and before our feet even touch the floor, our thoughts have already sprinted 5 miles ahead into the anxieties of the afternoon or drifted 5 years back into the regrets of a season long gone. We are physically anchored in the present, yet mentally, we are refugees seeking shelter in time zones that do not exist. To live the moment is not a mere suggestion or a poetic sentiment to be printed on a wall. It is the fundamental discipline of a soul that wishes to be truly alive. If you look at the world around you, you will see a society of ghosts, people who are breathing, walking, and talking, but whose spirits are elsewhere. They are mourning the person they used to be, or obsessing over the person they think they must become. In this constant state of mental migration, the now becomes nothing more than a bridge, a tedious span of time we must cross to get to the important stuff. But what if the bridge is the destination? What if the now is not the waiting room for your life, but the main stage itself? Consider the mechanics of your own mind. We often believe that by ruminating on the past, we are solving it. We replay old conversations, re-examine old failures, and pick at the scabs of old wounds as if, by some miracle of thought, the outcome might change. But the past is a graveyard. You can visit it to learn, but if you try to live there, you will only find yourself haunted. Similarly, we look to the future as a land of salvation. We tell ourselves that happiness is a prize waiting for us at the end of a specific achievement. I will be content when I have the house, or I will feel successful when I reach this income bracket. By doing this, we create a psychological contract that forbids us from experiencing joy in the present. We turn our current existence into a sacrifice for a future that is never guaranteed. This is the great illusion of tomorrow. Tomorrow is a horizon that retreats at the exact speed with which you approach it. If you cannot find the capacity to be present today, you will not be present when that better tomorrow finally arrives. You will simply find new things to worry about, new goals to chase, and new reasons to delay your own fulfillment. The cycle of not yet is a treadmill that leads nowhere but to exhaustion. Living the moment requires a radical act of reclamation. It requires you to stop being a spectator of your own life and start being a participant. Think about the last time you truly sat with a cup of tea or coffee. Did you feel the warmth of the ceramic against your palms? Did you notice the steam rising in delicate, swirling patterns? Or was your mind already at your desk, fighting battles that hadn't begun yet? When we ignore the sensory richness of the present, we are effectively telling the universe that its gifts are not enough. We are saying that the miracle of existence is boring compared to the fantasies or fears in our heads. But the truth is, there is more complexity and beauty in a single second of true presence than in 1,000 years of daydreaming. When you are present, you tap into a source of power that is inaccessible to the distracted mind. You become observant. You notice the subtle shift in a friend's tone of voice that signals they need help. You notice the opportunity for a creative breakthrough that was hidden in plain sight. You notice the sunset that everyone else is missing because they are looking at their phones. Presence is the ultimate form of intelligence because it allows you to respond to life as it is, rather than how you imagined it would be. The weight of the future is often what paralyzes us. We look at the mountain of our ambitions and feel small, or we look at the ocean of our responsibilities and feel like we are drowning. But you do not have to climb the mountain today. You only have to take one step. You do not have to swim the ocean. You only have to take one stroke. When you live in the moment, the impossible becomes manageable. The giant terrifying forever is broken down into a series of now moments. This is how greatness is built. No masterpiece was ever painted in a single stroke of the future. It was painted one brush stroke at a time, with the artist's entire soul focused on the tip of the brush in that specific millisecond. No marathon was ever won by a runner thinking about the finish line 20 miles away. It was won by a runner focusing on the rhythm of their breath and the placement of their foot in the current stride. When you narrow your focus to the immediate task, the anxiety of the outcome disappears. You enter a state of flow where time seems to vanish precisely because you are finally inhabiting it fully. This is where your best work lives. This is where your true self resides. We must also confront the discomfort of the present. Many people flee into the past or future because the present moment is painful or mundane. We use distraction as a form of anesthesia. But when we numb the pain of the present, we also numb the joy. You cannot selectively shut down your presence. If you are not there for the struggle, you will not be there for the victory. Living the moment means having the courage to face whatever is happening right now without flinching. If you are grieving, grieve fully. If you are tired, be tired. If you are bored, sit with the boredom until it speaks to you. There is a deep, quiet strength that comes from refusing to run away from yourself. When you stop running, you realize that the now is always a safe harbor. Even in the midst of a storm, there is a point of stillness at the center of your own consciousness. By anchoring yourself in the present, you become that stillness. You become the mountain instead of the weather. You realize that while you cannot control the winds of fate or the echoes of the past, you are the absolute master of this specific, fleeting, and precious breath. Building upon the realization that the future is a phantom and the past is a memory, we must look at the actual architecture of our daily lives. Why is it so difficult to stay here? We live in a world designed to harvest our attention and pull us out of our bodies. We are surrounded by a digital architecture that thrives on the elsewhere. Every notification, every infinite scroll, and every flashing headline is an invitation to leave the present moment. We have become a society that values capturing life more than living it. We go to concerts and watch the entire performance through a 4-inch screen, prioritizing a digital record for people who aren't there over the actual vibration of the music in our own chests. We eat beautiful meals but barely taste the spices because we are busy framing the perfect shot to prove to the world that we are enjoying ourselves. This is the great paradox of the modern era. In our desperate attempt to document our happiness, we often sacrifice the very presence required to actually feel it. To live the moment in this environment is nothing short of a revolutionary act. It is a declaration of independence from the algorithms that want to keep you in a state of perpetual anticipation. True presence is not a passive state. It is an active, rigorous engagement with reality. It is the art of single tasking in a world that worships the myth of multitasking. Science tells us that the human brain cannot actually multitask. It merely switches back and forth between tasks with lightning speed, losing a bit of cognitive power and presence with every jump. When we live our lives in this fragmented way, we are never giving 100% of ourselves to anything. We give 20% to our work, 20% to our spouse, 10% to our children, and the rest to a vague cloud of digital noise. The result is a life that feels thin and translucent. When you decide to live the moment, you decide to bring the entirety of your being to the singular point of your current focus. If you are playing with your child, be the parent who is rolling on the floor, hearing every giggle, and noticing the way the light catches their hair. If you are in a business meeting, be the one who is actually listening to the subtext of the conversation instead of rehearsing your next rebuttal. This level of presence is a gift you give to others, but it is primarily a gift you give to yourself. It is the only way to experience the thickness of life. The practice of mindfulness is often misunderstood as an attempt to clear the mind of all thoughts, to reach some sort of blank, Zen-like void. But true presence is much more grounded than that. It is the process of noticing that your mind has wandered and gently, without judgment, bringing it back to the breath, the body, or the task at hand. It is an exercise in mental muscle building. Every time you catch yourself worrying about next week, and you consciously return your focus to the sensation of your feet on the ground, you are becoming more powerful. You are training yourself to be the master of your attention rather than its slave. This mastery is the foundation of all peak performance. Athletes call it the zone, where the crowd disappears, the scoreboard vanishes, and there is only the ball, the court, and the movement. You don't have to be a professional athlete to find the zone. You can find it in the garden, in the kitchen, or in the middle of a difficult conversation. The zone is simply what happens when the self stops worrying about the result and fully merges with the action. Living the moment also requires us to redefine our relationship with time itself. We often view time as a linear resource that is running out, a ticking clock that creates a sense of constant urgency and not enough. This creates a background radiation of anxiety that colors everything we do. But there is another way to experience time, not as a line, but as a depth. Think of a moment not as a point on a timeline, but as a well. You can skim across the surface of 1,000 moments and feel empty, or you can dive deep into one single moment and find infinity. When you are fully present, time seems to expand. Have you ever noticed how a minute spent in intense fear or intense joy feels longer than an hour spent in a mindless daze? That is because presence is the currency of life. The more presence you bring to a moment, the more life you extract from it. By living in the now, you are effectively lengthening your life, not by adding more years to the end of it, but by adding more life to the years you already have. We must also talk about the boring moments. Most of our lives are not made of mountain peaks and grand victories. Most of life is the in-between. It's the commute to work, the waiting in line at the grocery store, the folding of laundry, the quiet Tuesday evenings. If we only live for the highlights, we are asleep for 90% of our existence. To live the moment is to find the sacred in the mundane. It is to realize that there is no such thing as dead time. A line at the post office is not an obstacle to your life, it is a part of your life. It is a chance to observe the humanity around you, to check in with your own thoughts, to practice patience, or simply to marvel at the fact that you exist at all. When you stop resisting the present moment because it isn't exciting enough, you stop the internal friction that causes so much unnecessary stress. You begin to see that every moment is a container for potential. Every second is a fresh start, a clean slate, a new opportunity to choose who you want to be. This level of awareness creates a profound sense of emotional resilience. When you live in the future, you are at the mercy of your anxieties, things that haven't happened and might never happen. When you live in the past, you are at the mercy of your regrets, things that cannot be changed. But in the present, you only have to deal with what is right in front of you. You find that you can handle almost any now. You can handle this specific pain, this specific challenge, or this specific workload. It is only when we pile the weight of the yesterdays and the tomorrows onto the today that the structure begins to buckle. Presence is the ultimate coping mechanism. It simplifies life. It strips away the unnecessary layers of what if and if only, leaving you with the raw, manageable reality of what is. By staying in the now, you keep your power centered. You become a person who cannot be easily shaken, because your feet are planted firmly on the only ground that is solid, the present. As we move deeper into this exploration of the present, we must confront the final and perhaps most beautiful truth about living in the moment. It is the only way to truly love and be loved. Our relationships are often the biggest victims of our mental absence. How many times have you sat across from someone you love, a parent, a child, a partner, while your mind was miles away, worrying about a deadline or replaying a frustration? We give the people who matter most to us our physical proximity, but we deny them our presence. We look at them, but we do not see them. We hear them, but we do not listen. But love is not a feeling that exists in the abstract. Love is an action that can only be performed in the now. When you give someone your undivided attention, you are giving them the most valuable resource you possess. You are saying, out of all the things in the world I could be thinking about, and out of all the places I could be, your existence in this moment is the most important thing to me. This is where true intimacy is born. It isn't found in grand romantic gestures or expensive gifts. It is found in the micro moments of shared presence. It is the eye contact that lingers, the touch that is felt fully, and the conversation where both parties are truly home. By living the moment, you stop treating people as landmarks on your map and start seeing them as the living, breathing miracles they are. Furthermore, living the moment is the ultimate antidote to the fear of death. Much of our anxiety about the end of life comes from the haunting suspicion that we haven't actually lived yet. We fear the end because we have been postponing the beginning. We feel that life is short because we have missed so much of it by being distracted. But when you live fully in the now, the concept of quantity of time begins to lose its grip on you. If you have truly inhabited your moments, if you have tasted the air, felt the sun, loved with your whole heart, and faced your fears, then you have lived a full life, regardless of the number of years on your birth certificate. A single day lived with total presence is more substantial than a century lived in a daze. When you are present, you are connected to something that feels timeless. You realize that life is not a string of events, but a continuous pulse of now. You stop worrying about how much time you have left and start focusing on how much life you can squeeze into the time you have. This shift in perspective removes the frantic desperation from our ambitions and replaces it with a calm, steady intentionality. You no longer move through the world like a person trying to finish a book as fast as possible. You move like a person who is savoring every single word on the page. This philosophy of presence also transforms the way we view our own potential and our capacity for change. Many of us are paralyzed by our identities. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are based on what we did 10 years ago. We say, I am not a confident person or I am a failure, as if those are permanent labels. But when you live the moment, you realize that the you of the past no longer exists. The only you that is real is the one reading this sentence. In the present moment, you are always at a crossroads. You are never stuck in a personality. You are only stuck in a habit of thought. Every now is a fresh opportunity to choose a different response, to speak a different truth, or to take a different action. The now is the forge where the soul is shaped. You don't need a 5-year plan to start being the person you want to be. You just need to be that person for the next 10 minutes. And then, the 10 minutes after that, success is not a mountain you climb. It is a series of now moments handled with integrity and courage. If you take care of the present, the future will take care of itself. This realization is incredibly liberating because it moves the goalposts from the distant horizon to the very ground beneath your feet. As we conclude this journey, I want to challenge you to look at your life not as a story that is being written toward an ending, but as a symphony that is being performed in real time. A symphony is not played so that the listeners can reach the final note. The point of the music is the music itself while it is playing. Your life is that music. Every frustration, every joy, every mundane task, and every profound revelation is a note in that symphony. If you spend the whole time waiting for the finale, you miss the beauty of the melody. The world will try to pull you away. It will try to convince you that you are falling behind, that you need more, that you should be somewhere else, or that you should be someone else. It will try to sell you a version of happiness that is always just out of reach. Resist that lie. Reclaim your attention. It is the most sacred thing you own. It is the light of your consciousness, and where you shine, that light determines the quality of your existence. So, walk out of here today with a new commitment to the now. When you walk, feel the ground. When you speak, mean every word. When you listen, lose yourself in the other person's story. When you work, let the world disappear. When you rest, rest deeply. Don't let your life be a series of missed appointments with yourself. Stop the mental time travel. Put down the heavy luggage of the past and the exhausting blueprints of the future. Just be here. Be here in all your imperfection, in all your uncertainty, and in all your glory. The moment is calling to you. It is whispering that this breath, this heartbeat, this flash of awareness is what you have been waiting for your entire life. It is not coming later. It is not hidden in a promotion or a vacation or a relationship. It is right here. It has always been right here. The door to a meaningful life is not locked, it is wide open, and the threshold is the present moment. Step through it. Start living. Not tomorrow, not tonight, but right now. This is your moment. Don't just watch it pass. Live it.